I've listened to a lot of feminine videos because I don't know, I just wanted to be my best self, and the advice that I would get, like, pick a movie character and be like that. Pick who from Gossip Girl. I've not watched Gossip Girl. I just watched one episode and I was like, I can't. Greetings, my ladies, to you beautiful, wonderful lady who is going to be watching me now and in the future. My name is Stelanzeki, and welcome to this channel. Here you're going to bloom in faith, in femininity, in beauty, and in lifestyle. And you know what I can recommend you right now is for you to get something to drink. However you're going to be listening to me, welcome to my channel. I'm going to be expounding a little bit more of what I talked about in my previous video about godly femininity. And I defined godly femininity to be embracing formation in the presence of the Lord, of your spirit, body, and soul, okay, to fulfill your destiny. The reason why I got to that point, because I had watched a lot of femininity videos, and all of them was, it's being in tune with your spirit, body, soul, in order to bring out the nurturing, compassionate side of you. Most of them, all of them were like that. Majority of what I watched. There is nothing wrong with that, because that is also part of femininity. To be soft, to be nurturing, to be compassionate, those are all attributes of a woman. A woman should embody such characteristics. But I felt that there is more. This can't be the only part of femininity. And I was actually seeking the Lord concerning that, because I felt like just that. And I asked myself these questions: what am I nurturing? Who am I being compassionate towards? Like, why should I actually embody these characters? And why am I being in tune with my body, spirit, and soul and mind? What if my mind is not in the right order? How am I going to lead myself? What if my heart is evil and carries things inside of it? How can I be in tune with myself in order to actually bring out these characteristics? Yet I am a fallen being that needs redemption from the Lord, so that I may be able to embody his characters. And I was also looking at the characters in the Bible. When I was getting those definitions, I was like, really? Was Deborah soft? Was Esther soft? How are these people nurturing? How are these people compassionate? It got me thinking a lot, and I was like, Lord, really reveal to me what femininity is, because what am I going to be nurturing, and how am I going to be in tune with myself? And when I look at all of those women, even when you study, when you take time and actually say, you know what, I'm going to study every woman in the Bible and find something common with them. One thing that I found that was common with them, okay, I've not studied all of them, but the few, that I have come across, something that brought all of them together was purpose. All of them had a purpose beyond themselves, something tied to a nation, something tied to, God doing something on this earth. And there is where something clicked, and my heart and spirit were just like, wow, yeah, this is it. Because those are just the characteristics of a woman: being compassionate, being nurturing. But there has to be more than that. And that is where purpose came in through. If you embrace God molding you in his presence, you're going to be able to see yourself beyond, beyond the societal norms, beyond the worldly standards, beyond whoever you are following in order to form your own. Because when I look at my previous journey before getting born again, for me, I used to follow celebrities. I used to be in tune with celebrities so that I can see, what being a woman is. They're going to tell me what being a woman is. They're going to tell me what being a boss is. They're going to tell me, what I am supposed to be doing out there, and I found myself following somebody else's life, and it got me frustrated in the inside. There is a way that seems right to every man. Sometimes we need to draw from God. We need to draw, strength, wisdom, understanding from Him so that we may be able to bring out those characters inside of us. And you remember I said that first you have a purpose to fulfill. It's not just being a wife, it's not just bearing children, it's not just looking pretty, it's not just that. All of that has to be discovered in the presence of the Lord. I'm not the one who is going to tell you, unless God reveals it to me and I'm like, you know what? I think you are good at this and this, and you would impact a lot of people with what you are doing. That is something good when you're surrounded by people who see God, when you're surrounded by people who actually see what God has put inside of you. They're going to push you to actually fulfill your destiny and your purpose. Okay? All of that will be discovered in the presence of the Lord. And I remember sometime back, when I was in the world, when I was headed straight to hell, you know, that I've listened to a lot of, feminine videos because I don't know, I just wanted to be my best self. And the advice that I would get, like, pick a movie character and be like that. Pick who from Gossip Girl. I've not watched Gossip Girl. I just watched one episode and I was like, I can't. So it's a good movie, very aesthetically pleasing. Pick a movie character, pick an alter ego and actually appear as that person. And that time I picked a very dark alter ego. Also, this character that I was interested in, her name was Anna Dev. Anna Devi. What was her name? Anna Devi. If you have watched that movie, it's about how she was tricking people and getting money and going to high-end places. I don't know. So I was just observing that character. I'm just like, yo, what if I could just be like Anna Devi? That I'll start tricking people. I don't know. She had a way to just talk and just make people listen to her, and then she gets what she wants, but she ended up in jail. Later, she ended up in jail. But you see what was influencing me? You see what I was embodying? And I'm like, instead of staying in the presence of the Lord, the one who made me, the one who took time in the details of my mind, of my heart, of each entire member in my body. He took me instead of me going to him and praying and telling God, show me who I am. Help me embody your nature and character. I was watching movies and reading books and watching YouTube videos to cause me to be like my alter ego. Godly femininity is all about being in tune with God first. Before being in tune with everything else, let me be in tune with God. Because I know God will lead me to a good place. He's going to lead me to somewhere where I'm not going to be destroyed. My life is hidden in Him. What evil shall befall me if I am with God? We have to be in tune with the Lord first so that we may fulfill our destinies. And then now we can embody those characters. We can embody being compassionate. We can embody being nurturing. We can embody being soft. People who carry wisdom, people who carry boldness, people who carry mercy. all of that is going to be drawn by being deformed. Welcome to my humble abode. I'm always in my room talking to you guys and making sure we are doing something constructive, something constructive. Yes. And I am going to be making a vision board right now, because I just want to visualize my life. I just want to see how my life would look on paper. I've already printed the small photos that I actually want. I want photos that can fit my journal. I wanted some small photos that I can just stick on my journal, and just when I open my journal that I am going to see them. For example, that, seeing your life on paper, actually each and every time you look back at it, you'll always remember that there is something I have to achieve, or to remind yourself of the promises of the Lord, because the Lord says, delight in me and I will give you your heart's desires. I believe that there is nothing that God wants to withhold from us. He just wants our heart to be in line with Him, and then all of these things, to just know how to be good stewards of them. The word of this year is bloom. Okay? The process of one coming into their full beauty and full health. Okay? To become a radiant being that can now glow as their authentic self. That is the word for me, for this channel, and for everybody who is going to watch this in the future. Okay? This is the desire of God for me and you, to just bloom, to become this, to reach our peak health, okay, in purpose, in career, in our walk of faith. You think of everything that you actually want to flourish in. So this is the word of this year, bloom. And you know what? This word reminds me of John chapter 1 verse 12. But to all who received him, who believed in his name, he gave power to become children of God. For the version that you want to be, you need to receive power, okay? Remember, this channel is all about godly femininity. It's all about our dependence on God to become all that He has called us to be. It is not our own hard work. It is not our own effort that we put to becoming all these beautiful beings, It is solely on depending on God that we can become the women that He actually wants us to be. We can become the people that He wants us to be. Okay? God isn't our burden, because worldly femininity is do all that effort. It's just believe in yourself, bet on yourself, everything self. You can be tired of yourself, You just need somebody to carry you through it all, through this world. And that's where this verse comes through for you. Okay? All who believe in His name, He gave power to become. So you're not just going to be using your own strength. You're not going to be using your own wisdom. You're not going to be using your own self-manufactured stuff. You're going to be drawing from God for you to become all that He has called you to be. So this is the theme of this channel throughout, until when the Lord is going to say, stop, come to me. We are going to be blooming in faith. We are going to be blooming in godly femininity over here. Okay? No, the masking tape doesn't look so aesthetically pleasing, but yeah, my content creation error. You're gonna see more of me. Okay? I want to bloom on becoming a God-fearing woman, because this is what all this channel is all about.